to transform society into a world where the lives and contributions of all individuals are recognized equally. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone in between, please welcome me. This is the part I was waiting for. This is what I was waiting for. Please welcome Patrisse Cullors.
Hi, Charleston. All right. What to do? How's the team out there? Good. You've been sitting for a little bit. If you're able to rise, let me just ask the audience to stand if you're able to. It's always interesting when you have this setup. You don't know who's behind you often. I just want you to take a moment to look at the neighbor next to you. I want you to ask the neighbor a question. And the question is, what have you done? What have you done to save Black lives? You're asking a neighbor right now. Ask them and hear the answer. Take a moment.
But what have I done? Every day I make sure I take my black money and I bounce it at least one time.
Okay.
Put that money in the black man's hand, black woman's hand, okay? Keep it in the community. So they can use that money, hey, so they don't get put over by the beast or this devil.
Yeah.
Use for lawyer fees or whatever. But main thing is to support black business.
Okay.
How about you?
Well,
Wait, we're not done. The next question I got for you is,
we got another question.
So the first question was, what have you done to save Black lives? The next question is, what will you do to save Black lives? What will you do to save Black lives? Go ahead.
Well, what will I do? If it comes down to it, I don't mind pulling the trigger.
Oh,
that's what I do. I'll pull the trigger.
I don't blame you.
How about yourself, sweetheart?
I will continue to be unapologetically black.
All right.
And go out and inspire other people to be unapologetically black and fight for their lives.
Okay.
That's who they are, personally.
Sounds good to me.
Yep.
Fight for your life, gotta pull the trigger now. Y'all know what you know what I'm saying? Bang, bang. That's how I get down right there.
By any means necessary.
See, I was just in D.C. for Justice or Else. It was an amazing event.
Yeah.
I loved it. Where was you at?
I was here.
Oh man.
I'm in school here. So.
Oh man. No, it was a good event though. It was. I loved it. You got to see at least 1 million, I think.
Okay.
At least 1 million people was out there. You know.
It's amazing.
It was amazing. I think it was maybe one of those one-a-lifetime events. So I don't know if in the next 20 years if he'll do it again if he's alive. You know.
Yeah.
You know. So.
It's time. It's time.
See, we're all talking to each other.
You can say So it's only interesting when I actually get feedback from the audience, as in, I'm gonna do a whole thing up here, but I love clapping, I love snapping, I love amen, ashes. So whatever you're feeling, please participate. And I open up with asking you, the audience those questions because I hope you're not here just to see me. I hope you're here because you're either a part of the movement or you're about to join the movement. This is a fight for all of our lives, and to believe otherwise is ignorant at best. And so show up to this room tonight ready to join, ready to fight. I want to tell you the story of Black Lives Matter, tell you of its origins, its beginnings. In 2013, when George Zimmerman was acquitted of the murder of Trayvon Martin, Alicia Garza wrote a love letter to Black people. It was powerful, and it ended with Black Lives Matter. When I saw that, I knew it had transformative power. I turned it into a hashtag, and it became alive on social media. That is the conception story. And then, on August 9th, 2014, I want everybody in the room to remember what you were doing on August 9th, 2014, when Mike Brown was murdered by Darren Wilson and left on the pavement for 4.5 hours in the blistering sun. Black Lives Matter resurged out of the need for something greater, the need to intervene in the reckless, genocidal murder of Black people in this country. Black Lives Matter has become what Black communities all over the world have needed it to become. At times, it's a hashtag. How many of y'all have hashtagged it? Raise your hand. At other moments, it's a declaration, a cry of rage. How many of y'all have chanted it in the streets? Or in Black brunch settings? Or on the bridge? It's a sharing of light. It has become a movement that is intentional and international, worldwide in its scope of liberation for Black people and oppressed people everywhere. We have 27 chapters, y'all, officiated in North America and in Ghana. There's almost not? Thank you. Don't be shy about the snapping. BLM is a growing global movement, and I am here in Charleston with y'all. That's clapping time. It's your city. If you repping, you clap for it. On my way from the airport to my hotel last night, my driver gave me a mini tour of the city. He spoke to me of restaurants to go to, which ones to avoid, that certain companies like Boeing are hiring outside of Charleston to fill an apparent void. And then we were in the downtown core, and he mentioned street names to consider. And then he says, quote, and that's the church. It was handled well, I guess, end quote. And that was all. That was all he said about 9 Black people being murdered in a church they committed themselves to. The Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church, a historical Black church, and in the man who spent an entire hour with them before he took folks' lives. Reverend Clementa Pickney, Cynthia Hurd, Taiwanza Sanders, Reverend DePayne Middleton Doctor, Reverend Daniel Simmons, Susan Jackson, Ethel Lance, Myra Thompson, Sanders' niece, the little 5-year-old Black girl who knew to play dead in order to survive this heart-wrenching and all too familiar reality that we as Black people carry every moment of the day. Is the day I will be killed? Is this the day I will be killed? The pause, the silence that the driver embodied, I know how many of us disappear into that silence. I felt the weight of the silence in that moment. I know that silence is what many Black people here in Charleston are expected to carry. I just want to take a moment, y'all. I sat in this car with this driver, and I knew I was waiting for him to talk about the church. I wanted to hear if he would say Black people, if he would say that Black people were killed by this white person, and it was if he refused. It was if he was refused to acknowledge the travesty. And so that moment got relegated to that's the church. And I remember looking at Janaea, who also goes by Future, and I remember whispering, I think that's the church. I think that's where our people were killed. And so this sort of silence, this erasure of the travesty of Black life is what happens on a daily basis. The silence is the reality of those who get to choose. Non-Black people, like my driver, can choose whether or not they will name what took place that night, name the people who were killed, name the realities of anti-Black racism and state-sanctioned violence. But for those of us who experience this type of devastation every day, we have no choice. When everyone else fails to carry the weight with us, their complicitness in benefiting from anti-Black racism, their refusal to name anti-Black racism, the erasure of our devastation, we are expected also to carry that failure, to carry their inability to recognize that freedom for us means freedom for everyone. We must say the names of those who have fallen because it is through us that they continue to survive. We must say the names of our folks who have fought so that we can fight and win. This is why a movement like Black Lives Matter is happening right now. Y'all, Black Lives Matter is happening right now. One that looks at the necessity of intersectionality, the recognition of our struggles being interconnected, that our freedoms are intertwined. It is the realization that we are all responsible, that there can be no neutrality in the face of Black decimation. I want you to know this. I am Black, I am queer, and I am femme. Y'all can clap for that. Black Lives Matter, as we know it, it could not have happened without the culmination of these intersecting identities within me. We live in an anti-Black world. To be Black is to know the harshest manifestations of oppression. It is to be pushed onto the margins of love, life, wellness, to be pushed out of places, spaces, and movements. Anti-Black racism is witnessing your father dying at 50 years old, a veteran, in a homeless shelter, former drug user. Anti-Black racism is witnessing your sibling who has schizoaffective disorder be hauled off by cops in the middle of the night because this government can care less about our people, especially when we have a disability. Anti-Black racism is watching your single mother raise 4 children, working 3 jobs, and having very little time for her children, let alone herself. My Blackness taught me resilience. It taught me adaptability. It taught me love for myself and my people. I developed and honed skills unique to my Blackness, honed by Black communities. We live in a world that is anti-queer. My politic, my sexuality, my theory is informed by being queer. I remember being 15 years old and navigating the realities of being a young Black, queer woman. It allowed me to experiment and explore in the ways that heteropatriarchy wouldn't have allowed. I had already existed in the margins as a young Black woman. Being queer made that reality even more stark and even more powerful. Being queer was not enough for queer communities to accept my Blackness. The fact that we had queer in common was not enough. Learning about and embracing my queerness pushed my analysis, my awareness of other people, but it didn't inherently push people to embrace my Blackness. We live in a world that is anti-femme. My femme identity has allowed me to celebrate the power in my femininity and my feminism. Misogynoir, the hatred of Black women and Black femininity has colored my life, my access, my struggle. Of course, at different times, I have been afraid. I know what it feels like to be powerless, to be scared. It has been my queer, Black, femme, women, and trans folk who have sustained me. They were acutely aware of how to show up, allowing the reality of being failed so many times, of having been betrayed by their and our community so many times that they knew exactly how to show up for me. Black women, we are expected to work and work and work. We are expected to be funny, but not too funny. Angry, but not too angry. Strong, never too strong, to carry the weight of the world and the liberation of all of our people on our backs at our expense, and never for our liberation. Black Lives Matter isn't just an intervention into the murder of Black people by state-sanctioned violence, by police, security, or gun-wielding vigilantes. Black Lives Matter is a vision of radical, Black, queer, femme liberation. Woo. Woo. By virtue of its conception and its carefully crafted, hard-fought leadership, we have built a movement that finally includes at the forefront those who are most marginalized amongst us. We must organize and build in non-colonial ways, and that means centralizing those who are most marginalized, building their capacity in self-determined ways, and putting them in positions of leadership. Our movement is built by all of us. It is our duty to join the growing movement for justice inside and outside of this country. If you don't see yourself as an active participant in the liberation of Black people, now is your opportunity. All of our lives depend on it. Ashe. So I'm gonna ask folks to just do another rise up real quickly to just close off this part, and then we're gonna open up for Q&A. And this is how we close off every event, every meeting, every panel. This is from our beloved Assata Shakur, who is in exile in Cuba. She wrote a letter to the movement, and she ended her letter off with these words that we've been using for a while now. And it's just a repeat after me. It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love each other and support each other.
We must love each other and support each other.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love each other and support each other.
We must love each other and support each other.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
Let's let the Charleston County Jail, let's, I don't know, Charleston PD, the Sheriff's Department, most likely the mayor, let's let them hear this one.